What's up guys, I'm Olivia.
And I'm Kyle.
And we're driving and vibing.
So 3 years ago this week, we bought our very first RV, this fiber stream behind us. And we're gonna talk to you about things we wish we would have known then, so stay tuned.
Welcome back to our channel, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we kind of wanted to do a little flashback today from the time we bought our very first home on wheels.
Before we bought the fiber stream, we had never owned an RV before. We never even went RV camping before. So it was a completely new experience to us at that time.
Yeah, and we had been searching Craigslist and different forums and classifieds for our perfect trailer. We knew we needed something small enough to tow with the truck that we already had, and this one just popped up, and the very next day we drove all the way to Georgia to pick it up.
And talking about things we wish we would have known, that is something we're glad we did feel was right at the time, is buying something that was within the means of what we already had, because down the road that just made a huge difference to us to really feel the freedom, because we weren't going in debt. We were using what we had to just get out there on the road.
And we learned a lot of things fixing the trailer up. You know, we had to do a lot of different modifications and renovations to it. Not as much as the Argosy over here, but we did kind of learn our trailer, and when there was an issue, we knew where to look for it. And so we felt more comfortable once we were on the road that if something broke that we could fix it. And really, for me even, it would be having some things to be prepared for when we went to buy the trailer, because when we picked it up, the valve stem, it was broken and it had like dry rotted off, so the tire was leaking air. And then we ended up in a Walmart parking lot, and it was raining out, the road conditions were not great, the trailer was swaying a bit too much for comfort, and we were just walking around Walmart like, what do we get to patch this tire just to make it back home?
Yeah, and as far as needing to know stuff like that, we didn't even really know how to properly tow the trailer at the time. We didn't have the correct hitch. The trailer was kind of, its bottom end was down, which increased sway. So those are the type of things that it would have been so much better to be able to have some sort of understanding even of towing a trailer at the time, because we again had no experience towing at all. And
we may not have been able to avoid these situations, but we might have been a little bit more prepared as far as like just going to Walmart and buying a new tire, because we found out later that you can buy these size tires right there in the store. So we could have just bought a new tire on the spot instead of trying all these different goopy, sticky things to try to plug up this hole.
So another thing that I wish I could have gone back and tell myself whenever we bought this RV and started working on it was, A, don't be afraid to dive in, because you know, you can really dive into these vintage campers and not be afraid of messing something up, because you can always fix it. The RV systems are relatively simple in these vintage travel trailers, but with that, we should have come into it with some more knowledge with the electrical side.
Yeah, and just documentation. I think that's where we really fell short, is not documenting the process enough. We didn't draw out an electrical map of where everything is running and going, and we had multiple different people working on the trailer at different times. So at the end of the day, though we know how to troubleshoot many issues in the RV, the electrical is kind of a mystery to us right now. And I wish we had just drawn out on a piece of paper, you know, just a guideline.
Yeah, and also whenever we were upgrading some of the parts, like the freshwater tanks, we removed the plastic valves and put in new valves, but they were made of aluminum, I believe, or some sort of metal, and they worked very well for a few months. But then I believe because those two materials were different, they just experienced separation over time with all that vibration. So we had additional issues in the future with that.
Another thing that I wish we had done a little bit more research on and consulted an expert in the field on is our solar system. We just had no idea what our energy needs were at the time, and our battery just was not enough storage to really keep up with our energy draw of our refrigerator.
Yeah, with our roof being so small, we could only fit 2 panels on there. With the trailer being small, we could only fit one large 200 amp hour lead acid battery. So with those things, like Olivia said, it was not creating enough energy. I remember going to Camping World in the very beginning, talking about our solar system with an employee, and got so offended whenever he recommended us get a generator once we get done playing with solar power.
Yeah, we were like, that defeats the purpose of, you know, getting solar panels. And I guess along those lines, we could have really gotten a new fridge too at that time and replaced that, not knowing that that like little household mini fridge was going to just drain all of our power.
Or even just hitting the road with a generator to supplement the power we were bringing in would have been a wonderful piece of knowledge, because it wasn't until 6 months in we got a generator, and then we could really save money by boondocking. Even though we spent $600 on that used generator, it saved us so much money over the next year.
And I mean, we were still running our solar panels throughout the day, but having that peace of mind that we can top the batteries off and not just destroy our battery over time, which we have, that would have been awesome to start out the gate with that.
I think those are pretty much the things that I wish we would have known in that whole process, as far as buying the RV and then preparing it to hit the road. But as far as the knowledge I wish I had whenever we first hit the road, was just to force myself. I would tell myself, look, Kyle, do not drive so far and do not stay at places so short amount of times. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy at least 3 days in one place.
Yeah, those first few months, though exciting and awesome and fun, they were very stressful too. I remember like Kyle just being so stressed out, like white knuckled, going over these huge mountain passes, and us trying to back the trailer in and getting in arguments every time. I mean, those were just some stressors that could have been a little less stressful had we not been doing it like every day or 2 days. We were breaking down and setting up camp, moving places way too quickly. So not only are we, you know, backing in the trailer once and then sitting for a week and then doing it again, we were doing it every other day. So all these new things, and too often, I think, kind of set us off on just this stressed out path that we obviously learned pretty quickly that was not sustainable.
And then Olivia even touched on the mountain pass thing and driving white knuckles. That was a huge learning curve, again, in the very first month, that I would have loved to have the knowledge that I have now. And that is, do research on the travel day ahead. Know what mountain passes you'll be passing. And then that goes into also having that experience with towing that I did not have at the time. Downshifting gears, going downhill rather than braking. Those are all things I had to learn as I went. Wish I would have been able to tell myself, but I do think some of those things just come with experience.
And just a simple paper atlas could have gone a long way to just showing like how high these passes would be. A lot of apps these days show the elevation and different things like that, the grades, stuff to know. So that's super convenient, but going into it, we didn't know about any of these things.
Yeah, and one of the other things that I really wish we would have done in the very beginning, as cheesy as it might sound, is I wish we would have started YouTube sooner. Not only to document the process, but because what this YouTube community has to offer exceeded every single expectation that I do have. Yes,
we would have had such a more thorough documentation of our whole renovation process of our older camper. We could have gotten advice from you guys. Like, there's so many things that could have benefited us, and just to see the journey from transitioning from stationary life to full-time RV life. And I kind of feel like with the Argosy, we get a little bit of a redo, so we get to document this whole part of the journey again, but I do wish we had started sooner too.
And also, a key piece of equipment that we did not have the first year on the road that made a huge difference was that cell booster. I just can't say that enough, and that it changed our life on the road.
Yes, and I mean, we love WeBoost. We talk about them all the time. We partner up with them all the time. We get to try out all their new boosters, so we're super grateful that we've developed that relationship with them. But seriously, like, not because we get a free cell booster occasionally.
In any company, it doesn't matter what company a booster you get, it will make a difference.
Yes, definitely. Like, that was a game changer for us, especially working online on the road. That is such a key thing. And even if you don't work online and you just want to stay connected with family, friends, you want to be able to stream music, TV shows, and feel like some semblance of normal, you know, that is super awesome to have, because I know that I would get stressed when we would get to a place and we would have no signal. couldn't even make a call from a place. Like that would just amp up my anxiety. Like, what if something happens and I can't call anyone? What if you leave to go to the store and like I need you for some reason?
Yeah, and that was during our first month on the road. We did camp at a location like that where we had no cell signal, and then River had a reaction to something.
Yeah, we think she ate like something she shouldn't have, and she was just like gagging and throwing up constantly, and I was freaking out. I didn't know what was wrong, and we were in the middle of Kansas. The nearest vet was like an hour away. And
we had to go up a hill and about a half a mile away just to get 1 bar of cell connectivity.
Yeah, and it's like I couldn't even Google her symptoms. You know, when you become a WebMD doctor and you start like researching all the symptoms, I couldn't even do that. Whether that would have made it better or worse, I don't know.
So that kind of is a twofold thing. WeBoost would have helped out, or any cell booster would have helped out in that situation. But I think also with our experience now, we would not camp at a location where we didn't feel comfortable. And I don't think we felt comfortable there, but it was somewhere that we just had already planned out to stay, and it was convenient.
And it was purely because the cell signal was non-existent. That is the only reason why. It was a beautiful camp spot.
But even if that is the reason, it does make a difference to not camp somewhere you don't feel comfortable, because if something like that does happen, it can really ruin the whole 24 hours, you know?
And though you might not need that booster in places that already have great coverage, we have seen our signal go from like a completely unusable signal to a strong 4G signal. So that has been awesome to actually see how much of a difference it makes.
So I think those are pretty much the things for me that I would want to tell myself.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a bunch of little tiny things, but the big ones that stick out in our minds, I think that pretty much covers it.
And if you can't tell, we had no outline for this video. We just wanted to do a very real talk video and look back on these 3 years, because we just thought today the rain let up, it's a beautiful day outside, and it's just a good day to reflect.
And Facebook reminded us that we bought our trailer 3 years ago this week, and we get to see all the photos of what it first looks like pulling it home that day, and it got us kind of walking down memory lane again, and we wanted to share those thoughts and memories with you guys.
So thank you guys so much for watching today. Let us know some of the things that you wish you would have known whenever you hit the road or whenever you bought your first RV, because we would love to hear what the community thinks and the lessons that you guys have learned.
Thank you guys so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.
Later on.